First contact and deception. The Valyrian ship emerged from the quantum fold on a quiet Tuesday morning, its crystalline structure catching Earth's sunlight like a diamond suspended in the void. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in NASA's mission control, her coffee gone cold in her hands as she watched the impossible become reality on the main view screen. 20 years of searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, and now they had arrived without warning. Signal strength is steady, announced her colleague, David Martinez, his fingers dancing across his console. They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies, using basic mathematical sequences as a foundation. This is definitely first contact protocol. The Valyrians appeared as everything humanity had hoped for in their first alien encounter. Their vessels were works of art. Organic curves melded with technological precision. Their representatives, when they finally showed themselves through video transmission, possessed an almost ethereal beauty. Tall, graceful beings with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. "We come seeking alliance," their ambassador, unity through peace, had declared in perfect English, claiming their universal translators had decoded our languages from our broadcasts. "We offer knowledge, technological advancement, and membership in the Galactic Concordat." Sarah should have trusted her instincts when she noticed the small inconsistencies. The way the Valyrians deflected questions about their biology, their excessive interest in Earth's genetic diversity, the subtle pressure to allow their scientific teams unrestricted access to Earth's biosphere samples. But humanity was eager, perhaps too eager, to join the galactic community. World leaders fast-tracked diplomatic relations. Trade agreements were signed. Valyrian cultural centers appeared in major cities worldwide. Their medical technology alone seemed miraculous, curing diseases, extending human lifespans. Who wouldn't want such gifts? The truth revealed itself 8 months after first contact, in Sarah's own laboratory at the International Xenobiology Research Center. She was analyzing cellular samples from the Valyrian medical treatments when she noticed something extraordinary. The alien healing protocols weren't simply curing diseases, they were systematically rewriting human DNA, making subtle changes that would only become apparent generations later. "This can't be right," she muttered, running the analysis again. But the evidence was undeniable. The Valyrians weren't preparing humanity for galactic citizenship, they were terraforming us from within. Further investigation revealed the horrible truth. The Valyrians were genetic harvesters, moving from world to world, manipulating species to create biological resources they needed to sustain their civilization. Earth, with its unprecedented biodiversity and adaptable human genome, was their greatest find in millennia. When Sarah tried to sound the alarm, she discovered how deep the Valyrian influence had already reached. Her research was blocked. Her communications were monitored. Several of her colleagues disappeared after raising similar concerns, but she had underestimated human resourcefulness. Working through encrypted channels, Sarah connected with a global network of scientists who had discovered similar anomalies. Together, they built their case, gathering irrefutable evidence of the Valyrian deception. The breaking point came during the World Science Summit in Geneva. Sarah and her underground network hijacked the broadcast of Unity Through Peace's keynote address, broadcasting their findings to every screen on Earth. The Valyrian reaction confirmed everything. Their peaceful masks dropped as they scrambled to contain the information breach. Within hours, the Valyrian cultural centers transformed into military installations, their crystalline architecture revealing hidden weapons arrays. Their ships in orbit began positioning for planetary bombardment. But they had made a crucial mistake. 8 months had given humanity access to samples of their technology, and humans are remarkably quick studies. As Valyrian energy weapons powered up worldwide, they discovered their systems failing, compromised by human-computer viruses that had been quietly uploaded through their cultural exchange programs. Their secure communications collapsed, victims of encryption keys cracked by quantum computers that humans had developed using their own shared technology as inspiration. "You have made a grave mistake," Unity Through Peace declared, his peaceful demeanor now replaced with cold fury. "Your species will be made an example of." Sarah watched from her laboratory as the night sky lit up with the first exchanges of fire between Valyrian ships and Earth's hastily prepared defenses. She felt no fear, only a grim determination that she knew was being mirrored in billions of her fellow humans around the globe. "No," she whispered, sending the final burst of data to resistance cells worldwide. "You made the mistake. You thought we were just another primitive species to manipulate. You never bothered to learn our history, how humanity has faced extinction-level threats before and survived, how we've overthrown empires, overcome plagues, and rebuilt from ashes." The Valyrians had chosen Earth thinking they had found an easy target. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. As air raid sirens wailed across the globe, humanity prepared to show these would-be conquerors exactly why that was a fatal error. The war for Earth's future had begun, and humanity had no intention of playing the role of victim in this cosmic drama. Turning the tables. The first week of the war was brutal. Valyrian weapons turned Sydney's Opera House to ash, leveled downtown Shanghai, and left Rio de Janeiro's Christ the Redeemer statue a smoking ruin. But even as humanity's cities burned, we were far from defeated. In underground bunkers and hidden laboratories worldwide, we were learning, adapting, and preparing to strike back. Colonel Maya Patel stood in the hardened command center beneath the Himalayas, watching real-time feeds from around the globe. The Valyrians had expected a swift victory. Instead, they faced a species that had spent its entire history preparing for war, even if we hadn't known it. "Status on Project Mirror," she demanded, her voice steady despite the tremors from nearby impacts. Dr. Marcus Wong, formerly of MIT's Quantum Computing Division, looked up from his array of holographic displays. "The Valyrian code architecture is unlike anything we've seen, but it's based on crystal matrices, similar to their ships. We've cracked their basic command protocols. Better yet, we've found their weakness." That weakness lay in the Valyrians' greatest strength, their technological sophistication. They had evolved beyond traditional electronic systems, using crystal-based quantum networks that were incredibly powerful, but also remarkably rigid. They couldn't conceive of anyone reverse engineering their technology so quickly, let alone finding ways to subvert it. They were wrong. Human hackers, trained on decades of cybersecurity warfare, worked alongside artificial intelligence systems to probe the Valyrian networks. They discovered that the aliens' crystal tech, while advanced, was vulnerable to specific electromagnetic frequencies that human systems could easily generate. "They're so advanced they've forgotten the basics," Dr. Wong explained. "Their systems have no equivalent to our primitive but effective Faraday cages, no protection against simple electromagnetic pulses. They never needed it. Until now." The counterattack began with a seemingly desperate gambit. Remaining military forces worldwide launched what appeared to be a conventional assault on Valyrian positions, drawing their attention and fire. The aliens' superior weapons cut through human aircraft and armor with devastating efficiency. But this was merely a diversion. As the battles raged, specially modified communications satellites began broadcasting precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulses. The effects were immediate and devastating. Valyrian ships stuttered in their orbits. Their weapon systems flickered and failed. Their perfect crystalline architecture began to show cracks. "They're experiencing cascading system failures," reported Lieutenant Sarah Chen, the same scientist who had first uncovered their deception, now serving as a key military advisor. "Their quantum networks are collapsing. Without them, each ship is isolated, their coordination shattered." The Valyrians' response was predictable. They attempted to adapt their shields to block the harmful frequencies. But humans had anticipated this. Through their cultural centers, the aliens had inadvertently given us access to their base coding language. Now we used it against them, uploading viruses that turned their own defensive protocols into weapons. Maya watched with grim satisfaction as Valyrian ships began falling from the sky, their crystal hulls darkening as their internal systems turned against them. On the ground, their installations went dark one by one, their weapons rendered useless by the very technologies they had so proudly displayed months earlier. But humanity wasn't content with merely defending. Teams of engineers and scientists had spent months studying captured Valyrian tech, not just learning to disable it, but to control it. Now, as their ships crashed and their bases went dark, human forces moved in with retrofitted weapons that could interface with and commandeer their systems. "Send the signal," Maya ordered. "All units, Operation Prometheus is go." Across the globe, human forces equipped with hybrid human-Valyrian tech launched their coordinated assault. The aliens found their own defensive systems turning against them, their doors opening to admit human strike teams, their internal sensors blind to our approaches. Unity through Peace's voice crackled over captured communication channels, now tinged with something humans had never heard from the Valyrians before. "Fear. This is impossible," the alien commander declared. "You are a primitive species. You cannot comprehend, let alone control, our technology." Maya allowed herself a small smile as she keyed the response. "You should have studied Earth's history more carefully. Humans have always been masters of adaptation, of taking others' technologies and improving them. From the first time one tribe stole fire from another, to the Industrial Revolution, to the digital age, we learn, we adapt, we overcome." The Valyrian response was cut short as another wave of electromagnetic pulses swept through their network, sowing chaos in their ranks. On screens throughout the command center, Maya watched as human forces secured alien strongholds one by one, using their own weapons against them. "And one more thing," she added, though she knew the Valyrian commander could no longer hear her. "We don't take kindly to being underestimated." As the battle raged on, humanity's message to the galaxy was clear. We would not be easy prey. The Valyrians had sought to harvest our world, to reshape us according to their designs. Instead, they were learning a harsh lesson about human ingenuity and determination. The tide had turned, but the war was far from over. The Valyrians still had forces in orbit, and their defeat so far would only make them more desperate. But for the first time since the invasion began, hope burned bright in human hearts. We had proven we could fight back, could hurt them, could win. The real question was, what would the Valyrians do now that their perfect plan had shattered against the rock of human resilience? The Underground Revolution. Deep beneath the ruins of Moscow, in a repurposed metro tunnel that had become humanity's largest underground research facility, Dr. Elena Petrova watched as her team assembled their latest weapon. The device looked deceptively simple, a seamless fusion of salvaged Valyrian crystal technology and human ingenuity. "The hybridization process is stable," she reported, her voice echoing through the vast chamber. "We've successfully merged their quantum crystalline architecture with our neural network designs." The Valyrians thought they were the masters of biotechnology. They never imagined we'd learn to integrate their systems with human consciousness. The Valyrians' response to their initial defeats had been swift and brutal. Unable to rely on their sophisticated weapons, they had resorted to crude but effective orbital bombardment, trying to pound humanity into submission. But they had inadvertently forced us deeper underground, where our greatest work could proceed undetected. In similar facilities worldwide, human scientists worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of Valyrian technology. Every crashed ship, every captured weapon, every snippet of their code became a piece of the puzzle. The aliens had expected us to take generations to understand their tech. We were managing it in months. They made a fundamental mistake in their assessment of human potential, Elena explained to the military observers. They judged us by our current technology level, not our rate of advancement. They never understood that humans don't just adapt to new technology. We transform it. The breakthrough had come from an unexpected source: video game developers. Their experience in creating intuitive interfaces between humans and complex systems proved invaluable in bridging the gap between human thought patterns and Valyrian crystal matrices. What the aliens had designed to be purely mechanical, we were turning into an extension of human consciousness. Above ground, the war continued to rage. The Valyrians, frustrated by their inability to achieve quick victory, had begun deploying biological weapons, viruses designed to target human DNA. But this too backfired. The same genetic adaptability they had hoped to harvest now worked against them, as human immune systems proved remarkably resilient. Incoming transmission from the Singapore Underground, announced Captain James Chen, Alina's communications officer. They've successfully tested the neural interface on their captured Valyrian walker. Full human control achieved. Alina allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Across the globe, pieces of humanity's counteroffensive were falling into place. The Valyrians had thought to break our spirit with their overwhelming technological superiority. Instead, they had given us the tools for our own evolution. In the heart of the facility, the first squadron of neural-linked fighters prepared for deployment. Each pilot would be connected directly to their hybrid craft, their thoughts controlling systems that merged human and Valyrian technology in ways neither species had imagined possible. The Valyrians see technology as something external, Alina observed, watching the pilots undergo their final calibrations. Tools to be used. We understand it differently. Technology isn't just something we use. It's something we become. It's part of our story, our evolution. Reports from orbital monitoring stations confirmed the Valyrians were gathering their forces for another major offensive. But this time, humanity would be ready. The underground revolution wasn't just about surviving. It was about transcending our limitations. In hidden bases across the planet, new weapons and defenses were taking shape. Valyrian crystal tech, redesigned through human innovation, formed the backbone of a defense network that could predict and counter alien attacks before they began. Our understanding of their technology had grown beyond mere reverse engineering. We were now creating applications they had never conceived. They thought they were uplifting us. Alina mused, reviewing the latest test results, preparing us to be their biological resources. But they didn't understand what humans are. We're not just another species to be harvested. We're the product of billions of years of evolution on a planet that never stopped trying to kill us. Adaptation isn't just our strategy. It's who we are. The facility shook with another distant impact, but no one flinched. The Valyrians' bombardment had become background noise, a reminder of why they worked so hard, but no longer a source of fear. Every attack only served to strengthen humanity's resolve. In the testing chamber, the neural interface team achieved another milestone: successful remote operation of a Valyrian ship's primary systems. The aliens' own vessels would soon be turned against them, piloted by human minds that could push their technology beyond its designed limits. "Send word to all facilities," Alina ordered. "Operation Phoenix is ready for final phase implementation. All units prepare for coordinated offensive." The underground revolution was about to break the surface, and the Valyrians would face an enemy they never expected. Humanity enhanced by their own technology, fighting with weapons they couldn't comprehend, driven by a determination they had fatally underestimated. The next phase of the war was about to begin. And this time, humanity wouldn't just be defending. We would be taking the fight to them. The question wasn't whether we would win, but what we would become in the process of victory. Operation Mindstorm. Commander Rachel Santos stood in the Neural Command Center beneath the ruins of Cape Canaveral, her mind linked directly to the facility's hybrid systems. Through the neural interface, she could feel the pulse of every operation worldwide, a symphony of human and Valyrian technology working in perfect harmony. Final confirmation received from all strike teams, she announced, her words echoing both verbally and through the neural network. Operation Mindstorm is ready for initiation. The plan was audacious, perhaps even insane, but that's what made it quintessentially human. After months of studying Valyrian psychology and social structures, we had identified their greatest weakness, their rigid hierarchical nature and absolute dependence on their leadership caste. Dr. James Morrison, head of TENUP Psychology, stepped forward to deliver his final briefing. The Valyrians operate on a hive-like structure, but unlike Earth's social insects, their hierarchy is technological rather than biological. Their leaders maintain control through quantum entanglement networks that link directly to their subordinates' minds. This discovery had been key to understanding why the Valyrians were so devastated by our initial electromagnetic attacks. It wasn't just their technology that had been disrupted, it was their entire command structure. "Begin Phase 1, Rachel ordered. Across the globe, specially modified transmitters powered up, broadcasting directly into the Valyrian command frequency. But instead of simple disruption, these signals carried something far more insidious: human thoughts, emotions, and ideas, translated into Valyrian neural patterns. The effect was immediate and devastating. For the first time in their species' history, Valyrian soldiers and workers experienced something alien to their rigid society: individual thought. Human concepts of freedom, self-determination, and personal choice crashed through their neural networks like a tsunami. "Their formation is breaking down," reported Lieutenant Maria Chen, monitoring the alien fleet's movements. "Multiple ships showing signs of command structure disruption. They're beginning to act independently." The Valyrian response was chaos. Their perfectly coordinated fleet began to fragment as individual commanders, suddenly capable of questioning orders, made their own decisions. Some ships retreated, others pressed the attack with desperate fury, while others simply held position, their crews paralyzed by their first taste of free will. But this was just the beginning. Phase 2 initiated as human neural pilots, linked to hybrid fighters, launched from hidden bases worldwide. These weren't just pilots controlling ships. They were warriors whose minds had merged with their craft, achieving levels of performance the Valyrians had never imagined possible. "Unity through peace is attempting to reassert control," Maria announced, tracking the Valyrian leaders' quantum signatures. "They're trying to purge the human thought patterns from their network." Rachel smiled grimly. "Exactly as predicted. Execute Phase 3. The trap was sprung. As the Valyrian leadership tried to strengthen their control over their forces, they opened themselves to the full force of humanity's psychological assault. Through the quantum networks they themselves had created, we uploaded the full weight of human history, our struggles, our triumphs, our endless drive to resist control and forge our own destiny. The effect on the Valyrian leadership caste was catastrophic. Their minds, evolved to maintain perfect order and control, were overwhelmed by the chaos and complexity of human consciousness. Unity through Peace's desperate broadcasts became increasingly erratic before cutting off entirely. "Multiple Valyrian ships are powering down weapons," Maria reported, her voice tight with controlled excitement. "Others are actively turning against their command vessels. The hierarchy is collapsing." In orbit and across Earth's surface, the seemingly invincible Valyrian war machine began to tear itself apart. Ships fired on their own command centers. Ground forces abandoned their posts or turned on their superiors. The rigid structure that had made them so powerful now guaranteed their defeat. Through it all, Rachel maintained her neural link, directing the flow of human consciousness into the alien network. She could feel the confusion and fear of the Valyrian troops, but also something else: a growing sense of liberation. "They're sending out surrender signals," Maria announced. "Not just individual units, entire battle groups. They're requesting asylum." It was an outcome no one had predicted. The Valyrians hadn't just been defeated militarily. Their entire society was transforming. Those exposed to human thoughts and emotions couldn't return to their former rigid existence. They had tasted freedom, and like humans before them, found it impossible to forget. "Send the response," Rachel ordered. "Any Valyrian who wishes to embrace free will and peaceful coexistence will be granted sanctuary. The others can retreat to their home systems. but they go with a warning. Earth is off limits. As the surrender signals multiplied, Rachel allowed herself to contemplate the irony. The Valyrians had come to harvest humanity's adaptability, never understanding that this very quality would lead to their defeat. But perhaps this outcome was better than pure victory, not just defeating an enemy, but transforming them through the power of human consciousness. Operation Mindstorm had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest expectations. The war wasn't just ending. It was evolving into something entirely new. The question now was, what would emerge from this unprecedented merger of human and Valyrian minds? Victory's price. 5 years after Operation Mindstorm, Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of humanity's first deep space embassy, watching the strange dance of Valyrian and human ships in high orbit around Earth. The crystalline alien vessels no longer inspired fear. Instead, they served as a reminder of how far both species had come. The latest integration reports are in, announced Admiral Maya Patel, now Earth's chief diplomatic officer to the reformed Galactic Concordat. Another 1,000 Valyrians have requested neural freedom procedures. The old hierarchy is crumbling faster than anyone predicted. Sarah nodded, remembering the desperate battles that had led to this moment. The victory had come at a steep price. Earth's major cities still bore the scars of orbital bombardment, and millions had been lost in the initial invasion. But humanity hadn't just survived. We had fundamentally changed the galaxy's power structure. They never understood what they were dealing with, she mused, watching a hybrid vessel, crewed by both humans and free Valyrians, execute a perfect dimensional fold. They saw our adaptability as a resource to be harvested, never realizing it was the very thing that would defeat them. The aftermath of the war had brought changes no one could have predicted. The Valyrian society, exposed to human concepts of individual freedom and creative thought, had fractured. Many had chosen to remain in their traditional hierarchy, retreating to their home systems. But a significant portion, particularly younger Valyrians, had embraced change. These free Valyrians, as they called themselves, worked alongside humans, combining their innate understanding of advanced technology with humanity's creativity and innovative spirit. The results had been extraordinary. Hybrid ships that could navigate dimensional space with unprecedented precision. Medical breakthroughs that merged Valyrian biotechnology with human genetic resilience. New forms of artificial intelligence that bridged the gap between crystal computing and human neural networks. We've received another diplomatic request, Maya reported, her neural implant glowing softly. 3 more species want to establish relations with Earth. They're particularly interested in our integration programs. The war had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Other species, long dominated by Valyrian technology and social structures, had watched in amazement as humanity not only defeated the invaders but transformed them. Earth had become a symbol of revolution, not through conquest, but through the power of ideas. The latest survey from the Jupiter colonies is ready, announced Dr. Marcus Wong, approaching with a holographic display. The hybrid terraforming technology is exceeding all expectations. At this rate, we'll have habitable moons within a decade. This was perhaps the greatest irony. The very technology the Valyrians had planned to use to reshape humanity was now being used to expand human civilization throughout the solar system. But unlike the Valyrians, we weren't seeking to remake worlds in our image. Instead, we were learning to adapt ourselves to new environments while preserving their unique characteristics. A flash of light drew Sarah's attention back to the viewport. A new ship was emerging from dimensional space, one of the massive colony vessels that now regularly transported human Valyrian expeditions to distant stars. Each ship carried the seeds of new civilizations, founded on principles of freedom, diversity, and continuous evolution. We've received the final report from Unity Through Peace, Maya said quietly. The former Valyrian commander had undergone the neural freedom procedure 3 years after the war, unable to resist the allure of individual consciousness. The last loyalist strongholds in the Valyrian home systems have requested negotiations. They want to discuss a gradual transition to the new way. Sarah felt a complex mix of emotions, satisfaction, vindication, but also a deep sense of responsibility. Humanity hadn't just won a war, we had become custodians of a new kind of civilization, one that valued diversity over uniformity, adaptation over stagnation, freedom over control. "There's a message from the Galactic Council," Maya added. "They've approved our proposal. Earth will host the first Interspecies Innovation Summit next year. Every spacefaring race in the known galaxy wants to understand how we achieve such rapid technological advancement while maintaining social harmony." Sarah smiled, remembering her first discovery of the Valyrian deception in her laboratory years ago. "We'll tell them the truth. There is no secret formula. The only constant is change itself. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our resilience or even our adaptability. It's our understanding that evolution never stops, that every challenge is an opportunity to become something new." As if to emphasize her words, a group of human and Valyrian children ran past the observation deck, their laughter echoing through the station. The children were part of the first generation of true human-Valyrian hybrid education, learning to combine the best aspects of both species' knowledge and abilities. "They came to harvest our potential," Sarah reflected, watching the children disappear around a corner. "Instead, they became part of it. That's the real victory, not defeating an enemy, but transforming them into allies, into family." The observation deck fell silent as Earth rotated into view below them. The planet showed signs of both war and recovery, the scars of battle still visible, but now surrounded by the gleaming structures of a civilization reaching for the stars. It was a powerful reminder that endings were just disguised beginnings, and that victory's true price was the responsibility to build something better from the ashes of conflict. Humanity had paid that price willingly, and in doing so, had changed not just ourselves, but the very nature of galactic civilization. The future that stretched before them was uncertain, full of challenges and opportunities no one could predict. But that was exactly how humanity preferred it, a constant adventure, an endless journey of becoming something more than we were before. The war was over, but humanity's greatest chapter was just beginning.